We are headed into what will likely be the biggest year in gaming in over a decade in terms of like revenues in single player games. I don't know about the mobile market. That's where most of the money goes. But in terms of like console games and PC games, this coming year is going to be huge. Huge. There's going to be a ton. So, and right now there's also some things that have not been announced that, you know, people are hearing rumblings about that very well could end up seeing the light of day. And if they do, ooh, baby, they might get pushed to 2026. But either way, next year is going to be insane. And with that are going to come crazy levels of delusion. Hype, I think, will be a big problem for some of these games. And I like to pull up a clip from E3 2015 to just demonstrate with perfect 2020 hindsight why hype can be so dangerous, okay? And what it can do to people. We talked a lot about this clip we'll look at when we were discussing Starfield in the lead up to that game's launch. So some of you guys might recognize it. But when people tie themselves to certain game releases, to certain consoles, to certain companies, it can make them sound like dangerously unstable, even though they are otherwise very well-adjusted people and very nice, kind, hardworking people. It can break your brain. It's why we sell on LukeStevensTV.com, we sell the Hype Makes You Stupid shirt, because I think it's accurate. I think a lot of the time hype can twist your perception of reality to the point where you will say some insane things and justify some crazy things as well. If you're really hyped for X game and then it starts showing up that like it's not super polished or there's some weird design choices here and there, you'll start to hand wave stuff away. No, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you just want to stay hyped about it. At the same time, though, I want to be clear before we get into this that my disdain for hype does not mean you can't be excited. And this is where perhaps definitions come into it. Being excited for a game is fine. That to me is tied to like intrigue and interest. That's totally fine. You can be intrigued or interested in a game and excited for a game. That doesn't mean you're hyped. Hype is when you are so down the rabbit hole that you begin speculating about stuff. You begin watching like those speculation videos on what's Elder Scrolls 6 going to have? I heard it's going to have this or that, or the GTA 6 stuff. Actually, it has full closed circuit TV cameras. Or the one guy I saw that was saying it's going to have a whole paternity system. So if you go to a strip club, you can sleep with a stripper. And if she gets pregnant, the DNA test that tracks the player's DNA could have you found responsible for the baby. And so then you'll have to pay your baby mama alimony out of your in-game currency collections. And it's like, I think we're getting silly. I think we're too far down the rabbit hole. Okay. That's the kind of hype we're talking about when people just get so obsessed with one thing that they like lose their mind. You see it usually once or twice a year where there is just la, 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 la. They stick their fingers in their ears and they're not willing to entertain any feedback, critical or otherwise. Unless you agree with them, you're a hater, that type of thing. That's what we want to avoid, and that's what we push to call out. And this clip I'm going to show you is from E3 2015. You will think that it's a skit. You will think that this is fake. It is not, okay? These are real human beings. Some of them still work in the industry today. Others have left that we'll talk about. But you're about to see somebody who is so deeply hyped for what was at the time an upcoming, very hype game, No Man's Sky. And you're about to see what happens when you give your brain over to hype. It will rot out any critical thinking and it will make you emotionally unstable, okay? Are you ready for this? Take it in. This is from a panel for Games Trailers Live, GT Live. And these are 4 games journalists, okay? To set the scene. This is from E3 2015. This is after a series of showcases where Sean Murray, the guy at Hello Games, he was showcasing the game on stage and describing how amazing and epic it was going to be. This is when the hype really started to build. The game wouldn't come out until the year following, but This is when it was really reaching a fever pitch. People were starting to really get out of control hyped. The people here, man on the far left, this guy is kind of the play it straight games journalist. This is the guy I would consider a friend. I don't know him. I don't remember his name. But if I did know him, this would be my dude, okay? You'll hear him keep a level head and look at things very, very, very critically, and I think fairly, okay? The man next to him is a guy named Ben Moore, okay? Pay close attention to him. He is the one that will eventually do the review for the game. He's the one that will eventually cover the game in a lot of detail, but he is our subject. He is the one that is hyped. And then these two guys over here, I think this guy is more just like ambivalent. He doesn't really care. And then this guy is going to like troll Ben without Ben realizing, because he thinks he's agreeing, but he's actually kind of making fun of him. So let's get into it.
Trying to think about that. I was trying to think like if video games could just be things where you go
You need to think about that in silence during this Just Played. I'm gonna let you do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That
That's
is
an
actually
option.
a really good question.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I like it. I like it.
Today's been full of really good questions. We are in no shortage for quips, for intelligent responses, for careful analysis, for pointed questions. We've lost it. We're good.
Little bit more context. There were people behind the scenes that were confused by the hype that No Man's Sky had. People did not understand, some people did not understand why people were so hyped, because at this time, they had shown the same planets 15 times. They had shown the same areas a bunch. And they were making all these promises, but there was one thing missing, which was, what do you do? What makes this fun? How is this a game? And it was something they could never really answer, which should be like the biggest of all red flags. You know, it was even a problem with Starfield when Todd said in an interview, they didn't find the fun until like 2021. They designed the game for years and still didn't know how to make it fun until they got to that point. They didn't start with a fun idea. They started with this idea that they want to make this big epic space whatever game. They're like, we'll figure out how to make it enjoyable as a video game later. I'm not sure if they succeeded, but yeah, it's still unanswered to this day. But that is something that some people were aware of. And this is kind of what he's beginning to troll with, which is that there are questions to be asked, but not many people want to answer them. So let's get into it. That's kind of what he's setting the stage for.
Oh boy. 2 more days.
All right, 2 more days.
All right, here we go. Okay. All right, professional. Okay,
Oh, 2015 game coverage.
I'm ready.
standing for this one.
I'm ready. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. I know
We're
exactly
all
what it
standing.
is.
Okay, we're all standing.
Here we go.
They know
I'm
that
actually really good.
Bring us home, Ben.
Okay.
Bring us.
they know Ben is like hardcore hyped for this game, and so they know that this is potentially going to be contentious when they confront him over it.
All right.
Okay.
This is because this is the one.
This is the one.
This is the one I want information about the more than any other game. Oh, how it feels, how it plays. No, I want information. I want facts.
Okay.
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 So I imagine you two guys like detectives, okay, and you're going down E3. You'll notice we're standing for this one. We're pumped because we need information about this.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, okay, we're excited about this game, but I'm nervous about this, or like, oh, you know, we're not so excited about it, but I want to hear good news. I need a hook. I need the thing of No Man's Sky. I need to know, okay, we're getting to the center of the galaxy, great, but what am I doing? I'm going to a planet and I'm just smelling flowers and then I fly somewhere else? What is happening in this game?
Yeah, tell us.
Ben Moore.
Great question. This is a video game. What do you do? How is it fun? Seems like a fair question. An important question. Because at the end of the day, these are video games. These are supposed to be fun things we do for fun. Or to experience some story or a piece of art or this or that. But there's got to be some hook there. There has to be a there. And with a lot of these games that get super, super hyped, you'll notice often there's not a clear hook. You know, there's tons of promises, but there's not a lot of specifics. It's all very vague and ambiguous. And, well, it's going to be you create your own hook. You create your own story. And that's about it.
Sean Murray would not like you. He wouldn't like you. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm going to rewind this because this is a line unironically spoken, as far as I can tell, that sounds similar to what a religious zealot would say when you question the faith. Jesus wouldn't like you.
But what am I doing? I'm going to a planet and I'm just smelling flowers and then I fly somewhere else? What is happening in this game?
Yeah, tell
Spend
us.
more.
Sean Murray would not like you. He wouldn't like you. I'm sorry.
All right.
And
Whoa.
That's fine.
no, hold on.
Whoa.
Cool. Like what? What? Imagine if I was like, hey guys, I don't think Starfield's that good. And somebody replies to me, their counter, Todd Howard wouldn't like you. Okay. Like, cool. I don't care. He can do what he does. I'm looking at the video game. Like, what are you talking about? It's such a bizarre way to start.
The reason I am the most the reason that I am most excited for this Just Played is because this is the first. I've been working in this industry for 2 years. This is the first time that I feel like I had an emotional connection with a human being. Like, it wasn't
Voice trembling. He says, I've worked in this industry for 2 years, and seeing Sean Murray showcase No Man's Sky, it's the first time I have felt an emotional connection with a human being. If that is not like the biggest red flag, I don't know what is. I don't know what is, man. That's if this happened and that like I was on this panel, I would be like, okay, are you joking? Because if you're not, I don't think we should have this conversation on camera. Like at this point, I'm not sure. Like I think you need a hug, frankly. Like this is worrisome, and part of this is like I'm struggling to figure out where where the trolling and joking starts and ends. Like he started this by saying Sean Murray wouldn't like you as if that was a counter. Maybe that was a joke. I'm not sure if this was a joke.
just, hey, your game is cool. No, you said something that made me reflect on what it means to be alive, basically.
What about For Honor?
Whoa.
For Honor was different. It was like the game impressed me, but it was like, no, your vision, you going after your dreams, and the way that you said it, and the emotion with which you said it, really got to me. So there was a woman. I'm gonna jump to the end of this demo really quick. I need to say this. It's been burning inside me.
I want it.
The entire day. There was a woman who said exactly what you said. So we're going to the center of the galaxy. Why? What's the point? What's my motivation? What am I earning? And Sean Murray, what he wanted to do, the facial expression that he had is he wanted to grab this person that asked the question and shake them, but he didn't. He didn't. He gritted his teeth and he said, What is the point? What is the point of anything? He said, I have played so many games where I'm just going around and I'm collecting things to get stars, to get puzzle pieces. And those are all great. I've enjoyed all of those games. But he said, I'm excited about where games are going. Okay, Super Mario Brothers was the game that got me excited about games. But what I'm excited about is Minecraft, right? Kids today, they don't care about achievement points. They don't care about trophies. They care about how they can express themselves in a virtual world. And my dream is to give you infinite possibilities, to give you this space that where you can fully explore. And I want to, as little as possible, I don't want to tell you what you should be doing. The impetus is on you. So in No Man's Sky,
Emotional.
there is no point.
Again, there's a phenomenon in internet culture, okay, that I'm going to point out that I want you to keep in mind. It's called Poe's Law. Poe's Law is an adage of internet culture which says that without clear indication of the author's intent, any parodic or sarcastic expression of extreme views can be mistaken by some readers for sincere expression of these views. In other words, when somebody online is trying to like parody an extreme point of view, you can't really tell if it's serious or not because it's the same. An extreme view put out is the same as somebody making fun of an extreme view. They're indistinguishable. For this guy, he's so down the rabbit hole with this hype around this game and with the sort of deification of Sean Murray that you can't tell if he's trolling anymore. It's indistinguishable between trolling and being serious. The other thing I want to point out is that you'll hear the language is very like it's the language of faith. It's the language of religion. It's the language of indoctrination to a certain extent, where the first thing he says is Sean Murray wouldn't like you, as if that's supposed to put him in line, as if that's supposed to put him in check, that he wouldn't like you, therefore you must be wrong because he can't be wrong. That's not how this works. He's a dude making a video game that ended up being pretty bad at launch. He's just a dude, but you've connected something deep and pushed him into this state where he's bigger than a human being. The language where he's saying, this woman asked this question and I could tell Sean just wanted to shake her and explain to her, but he didn't. He said, I have to give you infinite possibilities. It's not about me telling you what to do. It's the same language somebody will give when they're describing the leader of their particular religious pursuit. It's bizarre, is it not? It's crazy. And this is not just a video game industry thing. This happens across like comic books, movies. You see people talking about musicians. Have you ever see like those old videos of like Michael Jackson with fans? Like the way that some people would act with him on stage was insane. Like he's literally just a dude singing, and the way people would react to him, sobbing and crying, was crazy. Trying to break on stage, trying to, like, they're just sobbing, getting the chance to meet him and stuff. Like he's just a dude singing. Yeah, it's Michael Jackson, but like he's just a musician. But they've taken a role like beyond human. It's a bizarre phenomenon, but some people do this with people that they like idolize, and it's weird to see it in the context of video games where it's a game designer like nerd who's programming a video game, but people do it across industries, across the human experience. It's a very common thing. It's bizarre.
Do it or don't. Sean Murray is no point. You are trying to get to the center of the galaxy. Do it or don't. Sean Murray doesn't care at all. He says the most popular way people have played his game is what they've done is they've found valuable resources like fuel, which is one of the most valuable. They've bought it for a really cheap price in one system. They've flown to another system, figured out that they could sell it for a super high price, and they've done that for dozens of hours. They've just been traders, right? But they don't pick the trader class. They organically figure out that this is something that's exciting to them. This is how they want to play the game.
Right, but right here at this Just Play is the first time I've ever heard the word trading. Like you can trade.
Yeah, there's
awesome.
classes in it.
There's no classes. It's
Okay.
just those people. That's what they
Can you
became.
be a monster?
Who are you trading with?
Can you go to different planets and like hunt monsters and get their
you
skins?
You can be okay. So
here
was something that
we go.
shocked me about No Man's Sky. Okay, so he's running around and there's this creature. It kind of looks like a ram, but it's purple. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And he has his laser gun, which he can use to mine, but he can also use to shoot things. He shot the purple ram. Okay, all of a sudden, there's a wanted level. I'm not kidding. That's what he called it, a wanted level. Space police came and they started.
Because you can't kill that rhino.
Right.
Yeah.
And they started attacking him.
Yeah.
And then he shot back, and then their wanted level increased. And then this battle cruiser came in and was like, "No, you can't do that here."
The battle cruisers, I'm pretty sure, were not in the game at launch either, which also makes this a little sad. It's this. I don't know if it's just because I had one pastor when I was like a kid that talked in this same way, where he would start and get really loud, and then you'd shoot it, and then the police would come, but you can't do that here. He'd go from really, really loud, and then he'd get really precise and quiet. And you can do all these things. You can fly your ship around all these planets. You can look for things to do. You can trade fuel that's extremely valuable. You can go and hunt these monsters. But at the end of the day, you get to choose what you do. So I don't know if it's just that I had a pastor that did that, which is why, to me, this is like being in church again, hearing somebody, instead of preach like the gospel, preaching No Man's Sky, but it's really bizarre.
And he was so cagey about getting into the specifics. So again, speculation. But what it seemed like and what Sean Murray implied is that you don't know what you will encounter on different planets. And I felt for him. And I knew why he was so frustrated about answering what is the point. Because he legitimately, every single time he went to a new planet, he said, I don't know what's going to be here. There might be a police force that will come and reprimand you for doing these things.
Just watch his face. He is trying to figure out how the hell to even have a conversation about this, because he can see this is too far. Like, he's too far gone into the sauce. I will say this story does have, as far as I can tell, a happy ending. So don't think that this is just like, uh-oh, woe's me. Like, we'll talk about kind of the aftermath of this in a minute, but I want you to watch this guy because he's just trying to figure out how the hell to figure this out.
There might not be. There might be nothing. You might land on the planet and there's no life at all.
But at the same time, what you're talking about, like what you're saying, where you're like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything in Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. You don't have to do anything in Grand Theft Auto 5.
No,
You don't
but
have to do anything in Ghost
Brandon
Recon
Jones,
Wildlands.
Brandon Jones,
You don't have
Jones.
to do anything in Super Mario. But
It's different.
You can because there is this road.
That's the center of the universe.
You know what I mean?
And you
it's
get
like,
to the center of the universe.
Right.
That is your
and when
kind of
Sean
carrot
Murray
on the
gets up
stick.
on stage
No.
and demos this game, he doesn't say, I don't care what you do. You can do whatever the heck you want.
No,
He's
what
like,
if
He's getting so agitated. He's basically pacing in place. He's taking his headphones off. He doesn't like, this is an emotionally charged conversation. This is crazy.
when
Kinda
Sean
carrot
Murray
on the
gets up
stick.
on stage
No.
and demos this game, he doesn't say, I don't care what you do. You can do whatever the heck you want.
No,
He's
What
like,
if Mario
no.
had no enemies?
Oh
yes,
my God.
okay, no.
See, he's
Hold on.
trolling.
God.
He's
Brandon
trolling
Jones,
so
there's
hard.
a difference between not pushing any buttons in Super Mario and wandering around in Minecraft, right? There's a difference. You might call some person in the world might call both of those things doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
But that's not true, right? In Minecraft, what excites me the most is I'll just start digging holes, man. I don't care.
absolutely.
The minute I spawn, I'll just start digging holes.
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go. And the only thing that I want, right? This is why I buy so many packs in Hearthstone. I just want to find diamonds. And when I find them, you know what I do? I log out of Minecraft. I'm like, oh, I got my diamonds, and I'm done. That's not how anyone else plays Minecraft. And that's it. Like that's when No Man's Sky crystallized for me. Is he doesn't want to give you a list of classes. He doesn't want to give you stats. And I know some people out there need that. I understand. This is not the game for you. It's just not.
Can you dig?
But I
You
like
can dig.
Minecraft. I dearly love Minecraft. I have had a resurgence of Minecraft like 5 times, where I will put the game down and then it's like, I gotta just get back in there. But to me, Minecraft, when they sold the first time I played Minecraft, I was like, got it. This is a game where I can do whatever the heck I want to.
That's what
but
this is.
But it feels like that is not the way he has been selling it. He has not sold this game. We're just like, it's just a fun game because Sony's like, go out on stage and he's like, oh crap, maybe I can't say that. Maybe I can't sell the game this way and be really carefree and loose about it. He's like, oh, whatever, you can just do whatever you want. There's no rules. He's like, I gotta sell it as more of a standard experience than that. And so we've gotten the same demo 3 times where you're like, okay, right, you're pulling out and there's
He's questioning the teachings of Lord Murray. And you can see this is a sin that will not be tolerated. Again, watch the second he brings up that they've done the demo 3 times, the same demo. Anybody that is looking at this critically would say, this is a game where you say that there's like a galaxy worth of planets. We've seen the same one like 3 times.
standard experience.
Watch his
than that.
face.
And so we've gotten the same demo 3 times where you're like, okay, right, you're pulling out and there's stars. I got it. And he's just like, I can go to this planet and like shoot stuff and stuff. And it just, here's the thing. You say you have infinite possibilities. Like, there's infinite things you can do. There's
I don't
not.
think there's infinite.
You can fly here. You can land. Then you can take off again and go somewhere else and land. And you can step out.
You can
and
say
shoot
that about
things.
any game.
But
GTA, you get in the
Right?
car,
And
shoot
you have an
someone.
inventory, and objects go in, and then you can take them other places. That's like 8 possibilities. There are variants of how
No!
right? There are variants of how those possibilities play out. There's like if I shoot things, I don't know if guys are going to show up, but I still just shot something and waited. You know, it's like in Minecraft, I can build a ladder, I can build a torch, I can build that ladder down to
But
a train
it's new
track.
planets.
I can get in a train
and it's
track.
new life.
You build spaceships.
You
and
build new
shit.
spaceships.
Yeah,
Just
I-
show
new
me building a
resources.
spaceship.
He's telling you build
Yes.
spaceships.
you
But you're
can
going out on
absolutely
stage
build
for the 4th demo of No Man's Sky, and you're not going to build a spaceship. You're going to
It's
do
an
the pull-out.
experience. He can't show you 30 minutes.
Honestly, I think you're right, and there was an anguish that I saw in Sean Murray.
There was an anguish I saw in Sean. Who talks like this? Can you imagine like listening to somebody talk about Starfield? And I saw an anguish on Todd's face, a desire to share the good news of the settled systems. But yea, verily I say to you, ye of little faith, ye of few fish bowls of exploration, you shall be punished. Like, it's crazy. People don't talk like this without some filter through which their perception's been twisted. And I think it is the bizarre hype and idolization of a video game designer
that I wish you could have been there to see. I felt the same way as you, and even as he was doing the gameplay demonstration, I was like, this looks a lot like the trailers. When are we going to see new things? But the sense that I got is that man would rather die than show you what is out there to discover.
And the thing is, I'm not passionate.
Remember Poe's Law? You can't tell the difference between a troll making fun of an extreme position and the actual extreme position. Just listen to that sentence again.
The sense that I got is that man would rather die than show you what is out there to discover.
And the thing is, I'm not passionate about this game because I'm sensing a game I don't care about. Then I don't care. Then we have an 8-minute just played and we're done and we move on.
Discover?
Yeah,
Want to discover this universe?
Like there's something exciting about going to a planet and you are the first person in the world to see this creature. Right? Maybe you can't, build a ladder out of it. Okay, Brandon Jones, I can't make a ladder out of this little bug that I found.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I was the first person to do it. That is a story that I could come in and I could say, you've never seen this planet. You will never see this planet because it's so huge. And I saw it and I get to describe it to you. That's what exploration is. That's what adventure
the
is.
hell knows what is going to be in the center of the universe? That you say there's no point. How many of us in this room are even going to make it to the center of the universe?
Right.
And what the hell is there?
I'm making
if
it.
you manage
I'm gonna
to
be
get
there.
So you know what?
The credits.
You
The
can
end
have
credits.
your ladders. We're better off
He
without
says,
them.
thank you for playing.
But the point being,
There's a knock at
Ian
your
just
door.
Said,
Yeah.
You just said you can build a ship, but dude, never how do you literally? Is
Yeah,
it like a currency thing where like if you want to upgrade your ship, you need 400 things.
But that's just, like,
so I get 400 things, and then I
I
just
can't
buy
tell
it.
if you're just trying to make a discussion or if you're really this dead
I
inside.
want to know.
If you're this dead inside. This is why, honestly, like, it can be hard to maintain a skeptical outlook on stuff, to not just buy into whatever the next crazy hype thing is. Because people have this reaction where, like, you're just dead inside. You don't want to have fun. Because it is kind of fun to be hyped about stuff. We've all been there. We get hyped about all sorts of stuff. I got super hyped for, like, Fallout 4 back in the day and got burned. I think we all have gotten hyped for, like, Red Dead 2, and ended up being really, really good in that case. But hype is fun. No doubt. Because you let your mind wander and go crazy, and then sometimes they even meet your expectations or exceed them. But it also is fertile ground from which con men, charlatans, or fools that got over their heads, in the case of Sean Murray, I think. I don't think he was doing anything necessarily maliciously. I think he just got in too deep with Sony and couldn't find his way out to deliver the actual product that he had at that point promised. But it's fertile ground from which those people can pluck suckers to buy and take advantage of. And it's unfortunate that so many people can fall into this trap, but you see it all of the time. When are you adding Lord Murray to the candle set? I think we need to do it ASAP.
No. And
We've seen
people get
credits.
frustrated when you ask about
Credits of
details.
that.
They're like,
Yeah, people get frustrated. They say you're dead inside. They get frustrated when you ask details. All of this applied directly to the Starfield discussions we had before launch. People were saying Todd knows what he's doing. You need to trust Todd. People were saying Todd would not have it so you just walk around on planets. He's going to have vehicles in the game that are a surprise at launch. You'll load into the game and there'll be rovers for you. They're just not saying it because they want it to be a surprise. The people were just making stuff up to try and defend their Lord and Savior. Like, it's craziness.
want to know. And
We've seen
people get
credits.
frustrated when you ask about
Credits.
details.
But-
They're like,
but the
hey,
way
hey,
they're-
you want details about this game? Don't you want to
I
explore?
get it,
It's like,
I get it.
yeah, I want to explore.
I get it.
Yeah,
Brandon,
what do you,
but no, you
what do
have
with diamonds
no,
then
no.
in Minecraft.
This is the thing.
You make
This is
better weapons out
this
of
is
it,
what
right?
separates. No, this is the thing that separates the people that are going to be into No Man's Sky versus the people that aren't. Like that's what it comes down to. You have to be okay with not knowing. You have to be able to boot up.
Remember what I said about like the faith parody? Yeah, you want to know if this is true? Well, you can't. You have to be okay with not knowing for sure. You have to have faith that it'll work out, that it's worth playing, that there's good stuff at the end of the galaxy.
No Man's Sky, and you have to be comfortable with yourself, the money that you're spending on this game, and the time that you're committing to it, where you're like, yeah, I don't know what I do. Are you okay with that feeling or not?
I'm okay with.
Are you okay with that feeling or not? So this goes on for another 10 minutes. I encourage you to watch it if you have the strength, because it's kind of crazy. And this individual, Ben Moore, did end up doing the review. You can see Brandon was so goddamn right. The guy was right all along. Yeah, people called him irrational for asking a rational question, a question that gets answered 99% of the game and all other games, including Minecraft. This video is a perfect demonstration of the difference between a journalist and somebody who thinks they're a journalist. People were pretty hard on the dude about it, understandably so, because this isn't journalism. You know, this is hypium. This is something different. Even for a just regular gamer, this type of behavior would be worrisome, frankly. Let's see. The guy's name is Ben Moore. He created video game related content for the New York Post for over a year. In 2013, he became a member of Game Trailers until its closure in 2016. So just a year after this whole thing. In 2022, though, after he left Game Trailers, he worked with Easy Allies. But in 2022, he announced he was leaving Easy Allies because his wife got a new job back in their home state of Iowa. And then he and his wife were going to advance in the next stage of their lives. And they wanted to spend more time with their friends, family, and loved ones. So after this debacle, where honestly, like, it seemed as though maybe there was a little bit of there's more going on. You know, you don't talk this way and say that the first time you felt a human connection was when you heard a video game designer talk about their game. Like, that's something when there's something else going on. That's why I said, like, do you need a hug? If I heard somebody saying this type of thing. After this, got married, seems to have settled down. He left the video game industry. I'm not sure what he's doing for work now, but it seems that he has settled, moved into the next phase of life, and is doing well elsewhere outside of the games industry and games journalism industry. So it seems that he landed on his feet and is doing just fine. But the reason I point to this close to a decade after it originally aired was because in hindsight, with 2020 hindsight, we can see how insane this sounds. But this type of dialogue happens all the time with games like Concord, the diehard fans that were talking about that, with people that were defending Suicide Squad, people defending Starfield, people defending all these other games that came out and had serious problems. The problems were readily apparent to anybody looking at it critically and thinking. But if you were just super, super hyped up, you wouldn't see any of it. And if you slip, most people who are just excited for games don't get anywhere near this level. But this is like end stage hypium. Like, this is when you are so down deep in the rabbit hole that there's no digging yourself out. Like, you're in trouble if you're this deep. When your voice is trembling and cracking, describing the anguish you saw on a video game designer's face as he described something that made you feel a human connection for the first time since you joined the industry. Yeah, at that point, you've become the rabbit. Exactly. This is ultimately why I encourage all of us to be properly skeptical of stuff, to maintain as level head as we can, and to avoid the self-delusion that can come with it. Jake says Easy Allies got hyped for the stupidest stuff. That was part of their fun. Well, and I think there is a market for it. You know, there's plenty of channels where all they do is they just make content moving from game to game where they just get really hyped and speculate about stuff. And there's people that love it. There was the one case where it was Hogwarts Legacy, where I was pointing out, I was like, guys, Their last game was Cars 3 Driven to Win. That's the last game from the Avalanche guys that made Hogwarts Legacy, okay? Chances are this is not going to be a 10 out of 10 role-playing game. It's just not. It might be a good game. It might be a fun game, but it's probably in that like 7 to 8 out of 10 range in terms of actual game mechanics, because that's just how this works. Like, it's not magic. But there were some people that were crazy hyped for it. They're like, oh, there's going to be a whole system for you to go to classes and improve your wizard. And sort of, but it was mostly narrative stuff. You know, it didn't end up being the case. But I remember seeing one post on Reddit. It was like a comment in replying to a thread where a guy said, you know what? Even if the game ends up being bad, so long as I can walk through Hogwarts, I'll be happy. That was his only demand and only expectation. He's like, honestly, the hype is fun. I'll be good there. And there was another guy I saw talking about Starfield, and he said, honestly, if we play Starfield and the game isn't very good, I'll still be happy, because the community he got through the hype was part of the fun for him. It was almost like a feature of the game, the hype process to get there. And I thought that was really fascinating to hear somebody say, even if the game is bad, I've had fun just talking about and getting hyped over the game. So the game itself doesn't even need to be good, because the hype around the game was part of the game, basically. It was like, interesting perspective. But yeah, that's called cope. Yeah, I think technically it's called cope. But honestly, if you have fun through hype and that's part of like a game's feature, can't blame you. Like, good for you. Loxy, thank you so much. Jesus, 10 gifted subs over on Twitch. Very generous, my friend. Thank you. That's too kind. The walking through Hogwarts was great in Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, honestly, having a fully recreated Hogwarts that's like seamless was something a lot of Harry Potter fans had dreamt of, and so to finally get it was really, really cool. That's kind of how the Star Citizen community is. Yeah, the Star Citizen community is tricky because there's a very vocal minority of people that, frankly, like, there's nothing you can say that will ever change their mind on what they're convinced of, because a lot of them are very financially tied to it. There's others, though, and people don't realize this until you get into the community and talk to them. The most hardcore, like, I think the people that hold their feet to the fire the most are Star Citizen fans that are in deep. You know, they pay super close attention to all the stuff that they do with Star Citizen. So I think there's a very vocal minority within Star Citizen's community that is probably to the point of like delusional hype. But I think they're a minority from what I've seen, at least. But this same guy, Ben Moore, this was his review, the end of his review.
Promising foundation present, so it's possible
so he
to
didn't
envision a more...
To be clear, he didn't voice it. He just wrote it, but he didn't voice it.
Substantial game down the line. As it currently stands, though, our excitement across the universe faded sooner than we expected.
To his credit, he gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which translates to a 6 out of 10 Metacritic score, which is part of the reason I don't really like including star-based scores in the Metacritic, because 3 out of 5 doesn't typically mean, like, in terms of sentiment, 6 out of 10. People hear 6 out of 10 and that's bad, but 3 out of 5 stars is like, oh, it's fine. You know, bad isn't until you hit like 2 stars. That's at least my interpretation of it. Is the title Light No Fire an analogy to the craziest hype? Dude, that would actually be really funny if that's what they were doing. That's funny. I think people put way too much importance on scores and reviews, so maybe we should just stop using them. The problem is they're always going to do it. What you see is, like, if a website stops using review scores, they just stop being put in Metacritic, and like people still look at Metacritic because it's really easy to get just a gut check of how a game is. And in terms of industry importance, a lot of like companies use Metacritic scores tying to bonuses and stuff. So if the game has a Metacritic score of this point, they bonus out like that. That was the thing with Fallout New Vegas, where Fallout New Vegas, they needed to hit an 85 on Metacritic to get a bonus paid out, but they hit 84, and so they didn't bonus. on anything, which is crazy. Oh, I see. They actually say our ratings: 5 stars masterful, 4 is excellent, 3 is decent, 2 is inferior, and 1 star is terrible. So they say decent. I think most people would say a 6 out of 10 score though is bad. I don't think people would consider 6 out of 10 decent. It's like, it's probably getting to bad. Like 7 out of 10 is like 6.5 to 7 out of 10 is probably like, it's fine. Yeah, they got 84, not 85, so they didn't get a bonus. Yeah, they should standardize the scoring systems. Like 5-point scale is not exactly comparable to 10-point scale or 100-point scale. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're gonna be on Metacritic, they should require that you use the same scoring system as everybody else. Because somebody, again, that gives a game 3 stars, they probably mean it's like decent. But for Metacritic, converted to out of 100, that's probably should be a 7 out of 10. But it converts to a 6 out of 10, which is why it can kind of pull the average score down. So you have to look at the specifics of it. But that's why it's all the more remarkable when a game gets like a 90 something, you know. John, 3 out of 5 stars is 6 out of 7 out of 10. Yeah, again, it depends on what you mean by your 3 out of 5. If you mean 3 out of 5 is just middling, it's just fine. Some scores that might be a 7 out of 10, others that might be also 6 out of 10. Others, like we heard earlier, some people might consider 5 to be average or like the middle score for a game that's just fine, you know. I like skill up system, strongly recommend, played, don't recommend, strongly don't recommend. Yeah, I mean, it's clear enough that you can understand, what they're going for. I think for me, I think it, like, I don't tend to give, I tried a couple times giving scores and it wasn't worth doing. So I've tried doing scores. I don't really like it. So I've shifted and now I just describe what I think of the game, and I'll try to put it as simply as I can as I describe it, but I'm just not that interested in like the clear number. If somebody asks on stream, like if you had to give it a number, what would you give it? I'll give it the number, but I think it's more useful if people watch the video and hear what I think of the game instead of like, oh, I can see through this clear like thumbnail, or I skip to the end of the video and I see the number on screen. That's what do you think of it? I really like ACG's buy, wait for sale, or don't buy. Yeah, the tricky thing is with Game Pass, it breaks it. You know, because it's like buy, play through a subscription service, wait for a sale, wait for a subscription service. You know, Edgar as in Poe. That's funny. I like that. Welcome. Thank you. Glad to have you as a member. So 5 out of 8 is good. Do you mean 5 to 8, or we should use an 8-point standard system? That would be funny. What if we did just like a totally arbitrary thing where it's like, oh, we use a 13-point system. So you give a game a 10, but that doesn't actually mean 10. And we just watch people's brains break because like 10 out of 13 actually translates to like a 77 out of 100. So people can be like, did you see Luke gave this okay game a 10 out of 13, but still just to troll the shit. That could be funny. He took my thing.